Commander Jack Miller squinted through the viewport of the salvaged ship Reclaimer. Something glinted among the debris field, catching his eye. This far from the main shipping lanes, finding anything intact was unusual. "Pete, swing us around Sector 4. "I saw something," Jack said, pointing toward a cluster of twisted metal and rock. Pete, the pilot, adjusted their course with practiced ease. "Probably just another piece of satellite casing, boss. Wouldn't get your hopes up." Jack smiled. "That's why I'm in charge. I still have hope." The Reclaimer was 3 months into its salvage mission, collecting valuable metals and occasionally intact technology from the edge of human space. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid well enough. Earth and its colonies needed raw materials, and space was full of them, if you knew where to look. As they drew closer, Jack saw it clearly, a small spherical object, no larger than a basketball, drifting slowly among the larger chunks of debris. It didn't look like any human design he recognized. "That's odd," Jack muttered. "Tina, are you getting readings on that sphere?" Tina, the ship's engineer, checked her scanner. Nothing unusual. Metals, some crystalline structure. No power signature. Just space junk. "Bring it aboard," Jack ordered. "Something about it feels different." The ship's mechanical arm extended smoothly, grasping the sphere and pulling it into the collection bay. Jack went down to inspect their find personally. The object sat on the examination table, unremarkable except for its perfect roundness and strange markings etched across its surface. It was made of a dull gray metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "What do you think, Tina?" Jack asked as she ran her scanner over the sphere. "No idea. Doesn't match any known human design." She tapped at the surface with a tool. "Could be alien, I suppose. Might be worth something to the scientists back at Nova Station, even if it's just a failed probe or forgotten satellite." Jack nodded, but something about the sphere made him uneasy. It seemed to hum under his fingers, though Tina's instruments detected no vibration or energy. "We'll keep it separate from the other salvage," he decided. "I want to study it more before we dock." 3 weeks later, the Reclaimer approached Nova Station, the human frontier outpost marking the edge of settled space. The station gleamed against the blackness, a beacon of civilization in the void. Jack had spent hours studying the sphere, finding nothing but more questions. The markings resembled no language in the database, and the metal resisted all attempts to take samples. It remained inert, seemingly powerless, yet Jack couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching him. At Nova Station, the sphere became a curiosity. Station scientists ran tests but found little. It ended up as a paperweight in Jack's office, a conversation piece, nothing more. All that excitement for a chunk of space junk, Pete laughed when he visited Jack's office. "Should have left it floating." Jack smiled but said nothing. He'd taken to keeping the sphere nearby, even when working. Something about it felt important, though he couldn't explain why. 2 months after their return, the first reports came in. Strange ships had been spotted near the outer colonies. Ships that matched no known design. Ships that didn't respond to hails. Admiral West called an emergency meeting of all senior staff. "We've confirmed the vessels belong to a species calling themselves the Bright Empire," the Admiral announced, his face grim. "They've conquered 3 other species already and see us as primitive beings unworthy of respect." Murmurs filled the room as footage played showing sleek, predatory ships with weapons unlike anything humans had developed. "They've demanded our immediate surrender," Admiral West continued. "Or they'll cleanse our worlds. Their first scout ship will arrive at Nova Station in 3 days." Jack returned to his office, mind racing. Humanity's weapons were no match for what he'd seen in those images. He sat heavily in his chair, eyes falling on the sphere, the piece of junk they'd pulled from space. As if responding to his gaze, the sphere suddenly hummed to life. Blue light spilled from the markings, and a holographic display filled the room. Jack stared in shock as detailed schematics appeared, designs of the very ships the Admiral had just shown them, with weak points highlighted, weapon systems analyzed, engine designs mapped. Jack's hand shook as he reached for the communication panel. "Admiral West," he said, voice steady despite his racing heart. "You need to see this. Now." The piece of space junk had just become the most valuable object in human space. "It's some kind of military scanner," Professor Tom Barnes said, not looking up from the glowing sphere. Dark circles under his eyes showed he hadn't slept in days. "Designed to analyze enemy technology and find weaknesses." Admiral West frowned. "How did it activate just when we learned about the Bright Empire?" "That's the interesting part," Tom replied, finally looking up. "It seems to respond to human brain patterns." When Commander Jack thought about the threat, it switched on. Jack stood by the window of the lab, watching distant stars. "The question is, can we use it to defend ourselves? That's what I've been trying to figure out." Tom tapped at the sphere's surface, causing the holographic display to change. "It's incredibly old. My best guess is it's from a civilization that died out thousands of years ago. Which explains why the Bright Empire's security systems don't recognize it as a threat," Jack said. "It's like trying to stop a stone axe with a retinal scanner." Admiral West cleared his throat. "We need to send this to Earth Command immediately. Their scientists have better facilities." "There's no time," Jack interrupted. "You saw the report this morning. The Bright Empire destroyed the Titan II colony. Thousands dead. Their scout ship will be here tomorrow." Silence fell over the room. The destruction of Titan II had shocked everyone on Nova Station. The colony had been peaceful, with no military value. "I've made a breakthrough," Tom said quietly. "The device doesn't just scan enemy technology. It can interface with our systems to enhance them." He pulled up another display showing Nova Station's outdated defense grid. "When connected to our weapons, the ancient technology supercharges them. What both humans and aliens considered junk turns out to be an adaptive weapon system." "How soon can you have it working?" Admiral West asked, his previous objections forgotten. "I need 6 hours to connect it safely," Tom replied. "You have 4, the Admiral said. Sensors just detected a Bright Empire battle group changing course to intercept us. 5 warships, heavily armed." Jack looked at the sphere, now pulsing with blue light. "Will it be enough?" Tom's face was grim. "It has to be." 3 hours later, the sphere sat at the center of Nova Station's control room, connected to the main computer by a web of hastily assembled cables. The holographic display now showed the approaching Bright Empire ships in real time, analyzing their movements and weapon systems. "Connection to defense grid complete," Tom announced, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Power output has increased by 950%. Our weapons should hit with nearly 10 times their normal power." "What about our shields?" Captain Mary asked from her position at the tactical station. "Better than nothing," Tom replied. "Previously rated for meteorite impacts, now they might withstand a few direct energy weapon hits." Jack studied the tactical display. "They'll be in range in 15 minutes. A communication alert sounded. Admiral West nodded to the communications officer. "Put them through." A face appeared on the screen, humanoid but with metallic ridges where eyebrows should be, and skin that shimmered like polished brass. "I am Lord Dex of the Bright Empire," the alien said, voice translated by computer. "Your primitive station has been detected in violation of our new territory. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. This is Admiral West of Nova Station. We claim this space by right of." Lord Dex laughed. "Rights? You have no rights, little humans. Your technology is barely functional. Your weapons are toys. You have 1 hour to decide, surrender or die. The screen went dark. Jack looked at the ancient sphere, now pulsing faster as if excited by the proximity of enemy ships. Let's show them what this junk can do. They're moving into attack formation, Captain Mary announced as the 5 bright Empire warships spread out around Nova Station. The hour had passed. Nova Station had not surrendered. All personnel to battle stations, Admiral West ordered, his voice calm despite the odds against them. Activate enhanced defense systems. Tom's fingers flew across the control panel. The ancient sphere at the center of the room pulsed with increasing intensity, its blue glow filling the command center. Enhanced systems online, he reported. Power levels stable. The sphere is feeding tactical data directly to our targeting computers. Jack watched the main display as the bright Empire ships moved closer. Their sleek, predatory shapes reminded him of sharks circling prey. They're firing. Mary shouted. Bright beams of energy lanced out from the lead ship, striking Nova Station's newly enhanced shields. The station shuddered, but held. Shields at 82%, Tom called out. Better than expected. Admiral West nodded. Return fire. Target their lead vessel. Nova Station's main cannons fired. What would normally have been modest energy pulses were now brilliant beams that tore through space. They struck the lead bright Empire ship dead center. Direct hit. Mary exclaimed. Enemy shields failing. On the communication screen, Lord Dex's face appeared, his metallic features twisted in shock. Impossible. Your weapons are primitive. How? Fire again, Admiral West ordered. A second volley struck the lead ship. Its shields collapsed completely, and the vessel's hull ruptured in a silent flash of light. Lord Dex's image flickered. Full attack. Destroy them. The remaining 4 ships opened fire simultaneously. Nova Station rocked under the barrage. Shields at 40%, Tom called. We can't take much more of this. Focus all fire on the ship to our port side, Jack suggested, watching the tactical display. The sphere is showing a weakness in their engine shielding. Nova Station's weapons adjusted and fired again. The targeted ship's engines exploded, sending it spinning out of control. 2 more ships took heavy damage before Lord Dex gave the order to retreat. The surviving bright Empire vessels limped away, their once graceful forms now scarred and broken. The command center erupted in cheers, but Jack remained silent, watching the ancient sphere. Its light had dimmed slightly, as if tired from the effort. We won, Admiral West said, disbelief in his voice. Jack shook his head. No. We survived the first round. They'll be back, and in greater numbers. Tom nodded grimly. We need to understand more about this device. And quickly. Earth Command wants us to sit tight until their fleet arrives, Admiral West said, reading the message that had just come through. They're sending scientists to study the sphere. Jack shook his head. Their fleet won't get here for 2 weeks. We don't have that kind of time. Professor Tom looked up from the sphere, which he hadn't left since the battle. Jack's right. I've discovered something. The device contains partial information about other similar artifacts scattered across the galaxy. He pulled up a holographic map showing several points of light. These could be more builder technology. Builders? Jack asked. That's what they called themselves, according to the data I've extracted. They fought a massive war about 50,000 years ago against something they only refer to as the darkness. This technology was part of their defense network. Admiral West frowned. All the more reason to wait for Earth Command scientists. Jack stood up. With respect, sir, we need to find more of these devices now. The reclaimer is ready to fly, and I know these regions of space better than anyone. It would be against direct orders, the Admiral warned. Then I'll take full responsibility, Jack replied. But if the Bright Empire returns before Earth's fleet arrives, one device won't be enough to protect Nova Station. After a tense silence, Admiral West nodded. Take a small crew. Professor Tom goes with you. You have 10 days to find what you can and return. Within hours, the reclaimer was loaded and ready. Jack had chosen a crew of 6, including Tom. As they prepared to depart, news arrived from the outer colonies. The Bright Empire had launched massive attacks on 3 human worlds. Millions were dead or missing. This changes nothing, Jack told his worried crew. We stick to the mission. Find more builder technology. The reclaimer pulled away from Nova Station, heading into uncharted space. Jack looked at the sphere, now installed in the ship's control room. Guide us, he whispered to it. Show us where to find your maker's weapons. As if in response, the sphere's light pulsed once, illuminating their course through the darkness of space. The reclaimer landed on a dead planet covered in ruins. Ancient buildings, crumbled to dust over millennia, stretched to the horizon. Jack and his team moved carefully through the silent city, following the signal from the sphere. These must be builder ruins, Tom said, examining markings similar to those on the sphere. Their civilization was vast. In the center of the city, they found what they were looking for, a dome-shaped building still partially intact. Inside, they discovered 3 more builder devices, similar to their sphere but designed for different purposes. This one looks like a shield generator, Tom said, examining a disc-shaped object. And this might be a communication system. Jack touched one of the devices, and it immediately lit up with the same blue glow as their sphere. When Tina tried to activate another device, nothing happened. That's odd, Tom said, watching closely. Let me try. When Tom touched the device, it activated instantly. After running tests on all crew members, Tom gathered everyone in the ship's meeting room. I've figured it out, he said, excitement in his voice. The builder devices respond to human brain patterns in a way they don't for other species. That's why the aliens considered this technology junk, it simply wouldn't work for them. Jack leaned forward. Are you saying we're related to these builders? Maybe distant descendants, or at least similar enough biologically to interface with their technology, Tom replied. The important thing is, for us, each piece we recover becomes increasingly powerful as we learn to use it properly. Over the next week, they visited 3 more dead worlds, recovering 7 additional builder devices. The reclaimer was retrofitted with the new technology, transforming it from a salvage vessel into something far more powerful. The devices work better together, Tom explained as they prepared to return to Nova Station. They create a network that enhances each individual piece. Jack was about to give the order to head home when they intercepted a Bright Empire transmission. His blood ran cold as he decoded the message. The main invasion fleet, over 100 warships, was heading to Earth for a final attack. Even with our enhanced ship, we can't defeat that many, Pete said, fear in his voice. Tom looked up from the builder data he was studying. Maybe we don't have to. I've found references to something called the Forge, the central manufacturing facility of the builders. If it still exists. Jack nodded grimly. Plot a course. It's our only hope. The coordinates for the Forge led to a dense asteroid field in uncharted space. As the reclaimer approached, Jack saw something that made his heart sink, 5 Bright Empire warships already in position around a massive structure hidden among the asteroids. They found it first, Pete whispered. Tom studied the readings from their enhanced sensors. The good news is they haven't gotten inside yet. The Forge's defensive systems are still active. Jack watched as Bright Empire shuttles attempted to land on the structure, only to be repelled by invisible barriers. "Can we get past them?" Jack asked. Tom nodded. "Their ships can't detect us if we use the builder cloaking device we found. And once we're close enough, the Forge should recognize us as authorized users, just like the other builder technology did." The plan worked perfectly. Using their enhanced ship and their natural ability to interface with builder tech, Jack's crew slipped past the Bright Empire blockade. The Forge's barriers parted for their ship, allowing them to dock inside a vast hangar. What they found inside left them speechless. The Forge was an automated facility larger than Earth's moon, filled with dormant war machines and weapons beyond human understanding. "This isn't just a factory," Tom said, examining the central control room. "It's the command center for a vast network of builder technology scattered throughout the galaxy. If fully activated, it could control all the builder devices we've found and thousands more we haven't." Before they could begin activation, alarms sounded throughout the facility. "Bright Empire forces have breached the outer defenses," Tina reported. "They must have figured out how to bypass the barriers." On the security monitors, they watched as dozens of Bright Empire soldiers led by Lord Dex himself stormed through the Forge's corridors. "How long do you need to activate the facility?" Jack asked Tom. "At least 30 minutes, Tom replied. Jack checked his weapon. "Then we'll give you 30 minutes. Everyone else with me, we need to hold them off." As Jack led his crew to defend their position, he saw a large control chair in the center of the room, connected to the Forge's systems. "What's that?" he asked. Tom looked grim. "The direct neural interface. It would activate everything instantly, but the human brain might not survive the connection." Jack looked at the approaching enemy forces on the monitor. "If they break through," he said quietly, "that chair becomes our last option." Bright Empire soldiers poured through the Forge's corridors. Jack and his crew fought bravely, but they were outnumbered 10-1. "We can't hold them much longer," Pete shouted over the sound of weapons fire. In the control room, Tom worked frantically to activate the Forge's systems. "I need more time." Jack knew they had run out of options. "Fall back to the control room," he ordered his team. As they retreated, he made his decision. When he reached the control room, Jack headed straight for the neural interface chair. "Everyone get to the ship. Be ready to leave." "Jack, no!" Tom protested. The human mind wasn't designed to handle that much information. "It could kill you. If we don't stop the Bright Empire now, they'll kill everyone on Earth," Jack replied, sitting in the chair. "No choice." Before anyone could stop him, Jack activated the interface. Blue light enveloped him as his consciousness merged with the Forge's systems. Suddenly, Jack could see everything. Every piece of builder technology in the galaxy lit up in his mind like stars. He could feel the Bright Empire ships approaching Earth, the desperate defense at Nova Station, and Lord Dex's forces closing in on the control room. With a thought, Jack activated all builder technology simultaneously. Throughout the galaxy, devices that aliens had dismissed as non-functional relics suddenly powered up. On Bright Empire worlds, ancient machines disrupted their power systems. Their fleet approaching Earth suddenly found their ships disabled as builder technology interfered with their systems. In the Forge, the doors to the control room burst open. Lord Dex entered, weapon raised, then froze as every builder war machine in the facility activated around him. "Impossible," he whispered. Jack spoke, his voice echoing strangely. "The technology you call junk is now the most powerful weapon system in the galaxy." Lord Dex lowered his weapon. "What do you want?" "Peace," Jack replied. "Or extinction. Your choice." 2 days later, the Bright Empire leadership agreed to peace talks. Tom helped Jack disconnect from the Forge, though part of his consciousness would always remain linked to the Builder network. As they prepared to return to Earth, Jack held the original sphere that had started everything, the small, unimpressive device that had saved humanity. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "the deadliest weapons are the ones your enemies don't even recognize as dangerous."